or working hard will outwork people and stuff. But sometimes just because you work harder doesn't mean you're going to be more successful. And it sucks, but that's the reality of it.
When you are true to yourself, you give other people the permission to be true to you and true to themselves too. You are giving them an opportunity to be authentic.
There's a million HVAC companies out there, but there's only one owned by you. So let's prove to them why they should come to you and buy from you.
We are closing the gap on 500,000 views on YouTube. But that's not the craziest part. The craziest part is that most of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. Do us a solid, smash that subscribe button and share it with a friend.
Today we got the founder of Cosmo Bean. She's an international speaker with over 2 decade experience in leadership in AI. She's had groundbreaking initiatives with AI platforms that have generated millions and millions of dollars. Gurpreet, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I want to start off by asking you, right before we got started, we're talking about leadership. We're big on leadership, on how to be able to lead your team. You said leadership is a lot like parenting. Break that down for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe parenting, if you look at parenting, what is parenting? It's like you are stepping into a garden and you have these flowers that you're trying to plant and you grow them, right? Now, as a parent, you have your children whom you want to make sure they have certain goals in life. You want to make sure they have certain values and morals and whatnot. And, and if they deviate from there, you nudge them, you bring them back on the track, and you help them, support them, make them grow in whatever they want to achieve in their life. That's parenting in a nutshell, right? You basically nurture them, you care for them. So they're not, kind of attacked by a predator, and they're just taken care of until they can take care of themselves. And once they can, then also you're still kind of guiding them through and through until eternity, I believe. That's parenting. Now, what is leadership? When you are leading a team, you have these people on your team who are counting on you, who trust you. And when they trust you, it's your job to make sure that they have something in their work environment where they are working towards a goal, just like parenting. They have, they're working towards a goal. But if they go off track, you kind of bring them back, but you also show them the path. You help them get better at what they're doing. Don't we do that as a parent? If my son is loading a dishwasher and if he's being all erratic about it, I will show him how to load a dishwasher. And that's leadership too. If somebody's working on a project and they're going all haywire, I will help them see how to traverse through that and do a better job. And so you help. It's like a servant leadership, As a parent, you really are a servant of your children, if you think about it. They'll leave their socks, they'll leave their bottle, and as a little child, you would have to pick them up until they grow up at a certain age. And then, of course, you train them to pick up their own trash, you train them to clean up after themselves. But you are really, in a way, a servant leader for your child because you're helping them be someone that they want to be, or be a better person, grow up as an individual, as an independent person. And as a leader, you do the same. You are in the back, you're helping these people get better at what they do. At the same time, you support them in a way where they are focused on the vision that you have, and you are focused on them, not necessarily the vision. So you see, if a business all businesses have certain vision or goals or objectives to achieve. I believe the true leader is someone who is not just focused on the vision that the business had, but actually focused on their team. So the team is looking at that vision and kind of progressing towards that vision. And if you go back onto parenting, I also believe that leadership is like a gardener role, you play just like parenting. You have these different plants. I could have a basil, I could have who knows, papaya or whatever I'm growing, different cucumber and jalapenos, all kinds of different plants in my garden. And as a gardener, I know not all the plants will require the same amount of water and will not require same amount of sunlight. So based on what plant requires how much or what, I would plant them in a different areas of my garden. That's exactly how a leader works. A true leader will find the strengths of their team and will figure out how to maneuver that, how to work with them, and position them in different places, making sure that at the end of it, the garden that he has developed or she has developed produces the best products. And so that's how I would define leadership.
Hey guys, let's take a quick break from the podcast. We want to help business owners just like you stay competitive in today's marketplace. So for a limited time, we're giving you 10% off your next video project, whether it's a brand video, social media content, or ads. Just mention this podcast to get started. Let's get back to the show.
So you don't necessarily have a bad employee. They might just be doing the wrong job.
Yes, they might be doing the wrong job. They might be in the wrong environment. There's so much has changed after COVID with remote, right? So many people don't want to be in office anymore. There are people who don't want to have too much face-to-face. They're okay on a Zoom call, but just not comfortable coming in. They might have different needs. They might have different situations. There are mothers who work from home, and they prefer that just because it's easier for them to go pick up their child. But if they're in office and they're stuck in office, it's harder for them. They might not be as focused because they're thinking, oh my God, I don't want to be late. What if my son gets dropped off and I'm not there? I'm stuck in traffic. So I really should be leaving now, but this meeting is not over yet, So I feel like every person has a different need and has different goals, has different strengths. If we as a leader can harness that, that's our true success.
Yeah, the whole COVID kind of messed everything all up because everybody before it was like they were all in person, they were all doing good, and then COVID hit. So like, okay, you can work from home, you can do pretty much work on your own schedule, but then now like companies are kind of wanting to shift back towards the in person because it affects the company culture and all that stuff. And I think one of the important things you said was like the vision. Like whether you're a business leader, you're a parent, you're whatever. The vision's important because if you have the vision and you tell your employees the vision, then you know where they know where the ship is going.
Yes.
And as long as you know where the ship is going, then as an employee, you know what's needed of you to get there. But then as a leader, you're putting that out there. So then your employees really have no excuse of why they're not performing. And sometimes that's going to be, okay, in order to get to this vision that we have, we need to build up the company culture. And to build up the company culture, we're going to need X, Y, and Z of you.
We are closing the gap on 500,000 views on YouTube. But that's not the craziest part. The craziest part is that most of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. Do us a solid. Smash that subscribe button and share it with a friend.
Yeah, I love what you said there, that it's so important for the team to know where the ship is going. What really happens in a lot of our, work environments is that we expect our teams to do certain jobs or certain tasks or certain projects, but we don't understand that they don't have clarity of why we need to get it done. What is it going to bring to the business? And if we start streamlining that process where they can understand the end product, what is the ultimate goal? Why do we want to do it? What is it going to bring for us? Then it's not just that they will understand the end goal, but they might have better solutions, they might have better ideas, and they might get there faster because they will now then understand that I'm not just doing this ABC task because, I have to get it done. It's not my just, checklist item. Mm-hmm. There's actually an objective behind it. And if I can understand that objective and if I can relate to that objective, if I can get my emotions and feelings attached to that, that's even better because that's what drives our intentions. And that's why I do all this work under Cosmo Being, where we talk a lot about emotions and feelings. When you connect with an objective or with a goal in your life, and you bring some emotion attached to it, you attach a feeling to it, that's when you have basically propelled it with a strong powering engine. Because we as human beings don't just work because we want to work. We work because it's rewarding. There is a feeling attached to it that we get in return. There's a dopamine that gets squirted in our brain, and we get that, and we crave for that emotion, that feeling, that chemical in our body. And that's what keeps us going, or that's what inspires us, or wants us to take these risks, or wants us to look for promotions, or go do adventure, or hike a mountain, because we want that feeling in our body, that we want that chemical in our body. And if we can attach that objective, company objective, with some goal, your personal goal, which has a feeling or an emotion attached to it, bingo, you've hit the jackpot. And that's why it's so important for the employees to know where the ship is going.
When you come into a business and you're kind of like doing your thing, analyzing the whole business, where it's at, what are the biggest like problems that you see within the business? Why they're not like quote unquote like successful, like with the business owner? The
way I see the most of the challenges that I have seen or we see in our org is that it's essentially the synergy between the teams. It's really one where the teams don't know how to work together, because team A, like engineering team, has its own objectives, product team has its own objectives, marketing team has its own objectives, but they cannot see and understand or appreciate other teams' objectives. And that's when it's kind of starts falling apart a little bit. So we are brought in to kind of bring that synergy in those teams. So bringing that cohesiveness in the teams. That's one of the biggest ones. Second one that we see is where the team or the people, the employees cannot have no vision, have no view of where the business is headed, or they don't believe in the leadership because somehow leadership has not given them enough reasons to kind of point them at a direction that they believe is worthwhile, their effort or their time. And so there's a lot of that communication barriers that basically cause these challenges in businesses, where because a leader or the executives have not been able to communicate it, the employees don't get it, and it just disconnects the organization at a deeper level.
So one of the biggest things, I guess, to have a great, strong, like internals for the business is the leadership. So let's build a Superman. What are the qualities for a good leader?
Wow.
In your perspective.
Yeah. So I think for me, the biggest thing about leadership is being authentic. If you are authentic and if you know who you really are, that's being true to yourself. When you are true to yourself, you give other people the permission to be true to you and true to themselves too. You are giving them an opportunity to be authentic and be real in front of you, in front of other people. So being authentic to me is the key in a leadership role. Just as a person, I think that's just not even, I don't know, I feel like we all are leaders in our own way, but our authenticity really determines our success. And
what do you say a good leader? Because then there's good leaders and there's bad leaders.
Yeah.
What is a good leader?
Yeah.
Or a great leader?
Yeah. So good leaders are someone who are not just looking in for their own benefit. Leaders, to me, are someone who's actually vouching for, on the back seat, vouching for your success. That's a leader. Because everybody vouches for their own success. But when you can think of collective, that's when you become a leader. And leadership can be both led from the back and from the front, but it depends, you have to learn how to switch or when to switch your role. You could be a servant leader and leading from the back, where you kind of push your team forward in doing greater job, better things, and have them own that success. But then you dive in, you jump in first. So you lead from the front when it's a new thing that's going to happen. So there's a change you want to bring in the organization, leadership change or technology or whatever that may be. Or, COVID hit. Now there's a huge change in the society. And when you jump in first as a leader, you fold your sleeves. You don't worry what others are going to think or how vulnerable you are going to be. But you fold your sleeves and you jump in. And you say, hey, you know what? I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to try it. That is another level of leadership. So there are, just being vulnerable, being authentic, because when you're authentic, you are going to be vulnerable. You're not always going to be perfect. But let people see that. Let people see that you're not perfect, because, we create this big vacuum around ourselves to showcase that we are so perfect, have the perfect body, the perfect face, the perfect this, the perfect that, the perfect language. I know how to, impress people. Well, everybody gets offended by that. Are you really that perfect? And you could be perfect, which is great.
In whose eyes?
Everybody has their own, everybody has their own ways or their things where they're going to miss something. So be okay with it. Let it be in the open, I don't know if I'm sure, like, you're a digital marketer, you probably know this, right? Initially there was a phase in social media where everybody would just pose all these amazing, incredible pictures of themselves, right? No matter how miserable they were feeling inside.
Well, they still do.
They still do that, yes. But there is this phase where now I do see like a bare videos where there's no makeup. There's just, this whole authenticity where it's just a wave. I feel like it's coming in where people are done faking. Just be real. I want to talk to a real person. We have a lot of AI. Already we have a lot of unrealistic, like unhuman. I shouldn't say unrealistic because that's all real, but unhuman type of things we interact with. We have robots, we have technologies we're interacting with all day long. But I do crave that human connection. And when I crave that human connection, I want that real person behind that camera. I don't want to just, have that fake conversation. And we may have fake conversations, but I feel like it's so important to have that common ground. Like, I'm human. I have these emotions. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to have these pile of emotions under me. And so would you. But how we tackle it, how we handle it is different. But denying it, saying that, oh no, I'm just perfect, this is great, is, to me, I feel like, no, you can open up. I feel like it takes a bigger heart to acknowledge and to admit, to open up and admit your mistakes and be vulnerable to who you really are.
Yeah, I think part of that's just like the leaders that we have like now are different than the leaders we had 10 or 20 years ago. And then the leaders we have now, like, if they're on social media and stuff like that, they see what they grew up with, and they see what's available out to like the younger generation, and they see that they bring more value, like showing people like the raw behind the scenes kind of stuff going on.
Yes,
because people just got tired of the perfect photos on Instagram or the perfect pictures of whatever, and people want to see it, and they learn better, and they actually believe the person better when you're being authentic and show the behind the scenes.
Exactly, because you can relate. I feel like if somebody tells me their real self, their true self, and they're vulnerable in front of me, believe it or not, I'll be able to relate to them more than any other person, because then I'll be like, yeah, I mean, I have those problems too. I have those challenges too. So yeah, to your point, exactly.
Relatability leads to likability.
Yes.
So they relate to you, so they're automatically gonna like you.
And
That's
likability
amazing.
turns into sales.
Yes,
like if you think about
that's
it.
how it works.
Ultimately, yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
so that's like one of the things that we do like here, because a lot of business owners, they're just like, just give me the script of what I'm going to say on the video. And I'm just like, if I just give you a script, like, it's not going to do as good as if you just give it to me kind of raw. Because that's what, like you said, that's what people want to. They want to feel another person. So, like, yes, we guide them through, like, kind of how to say stuff, but we don't want to have a script because we want that authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, that same photo that 100 other people post, like, it's not going to do it as good for you because 100 other people posted it. Do something
that's custom to you.
Custom to you,
because
exactly.
you're the product, I guess, they're going to buy from.
Yeah.
So it's
there's a million HVAC companies out there, but there's only one owned by you.
Yeah.
So let's prove to them why they should come to you and buy from you.
Absolutely. And I feel like, we have been gifted with this uniqueness. Today we have this whole mindset. It's been for years, for centuries, it's been here, where we want to just follow the crowd. But you see, we always say leader creates their own path. What does that even mean, creating your own path? Leader will not follow the crowd, but will go on its own. We have always heard this from childhood, right? Like, leaders create their own path. What does that really mean? Well, in my mind, what it really means is we all have been gifted with our unique identity. Our DNA is different. Our fingerprints are different. Our all biometric, we give all our signatures, everything is different about us. how can our path be same? Our paths cannot be same. Our products cannot be same. Our services cannot be same. We all have our unique ways of giving and being in this world. Just owning up to what that uniqueness is what differentiates us. And that, to me, is what is your authenticity. If you can tap into that uniqueness of your own and hone on it and take pride of it, because there is no other Monico, there is no other Erick, and there's no other Gurpreet. We are who we are. So let's create the best of who we are.
With that, you say that we're all the same, right? And we all have your own uniqueness. Then what's like the defining line of like, because there's a lot of business owners, some are really successful, some go broke. So like, what's the defining, what sets them apart? Because you can work hard, you can be like, because we talk about it a lot, like, yeah, we're working hard, we'll outwork people and stuff, but sometimes just because you work harder doesn't mean you're going to be more successful. And it sucks, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and it also depends of how you define success. What does success really even mean to you? First of all, as a unique person, we all have our own measures of success. Success could mean more money for someone. Success could mean more name or fame for someone. Success could mean more relationships, better relationships for someone. Success could mean just being happy. Hey, I'm happy. I can climb up the mountains. I can be wherever I want to be. Success could mean freedom for someone. I am free. I am the boss of my own day. I can do whatever I want to do, and that is success to me. So first of all, I think it's really about defining what success means to you, because we all have our own unique definition of success. The second thing I would say is how we define our success and how we lead towards our success really depends on who we are being. Because when we are, if we say that, hey, I am successful, what am I successful in, and how did I get there? Who am I being when I'm creating my business? Whether it's creating more clients or whether it's creating happiness for me, who am I being? Do I believe in my abilities? Because working hard is one thing. Definitely hard work is needed for anything and everything you do in life. But with that, what is needed is the right mindset and understanding of the realistic expectations from yourself. You cannot expect that you started going to the gym today and you will be ready for the wrestling championship in 2 months. It's a long haul. It's going to take time. So setting up those realistic expectations is what's going to get you to your success, whatever that success you have defined. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who will determine if you're successful or not. Other people will say a million things about you, but they know nothing about you. It's just their perception. And their perceptions shouldn't digress you or change you or impact you by any means. And that's where we get caught up. Just because 2 people talk about me, if I'm successful or not, I will feel that way depending on what other people are talking about me. How unfortunate is that? We give our power away of how we're going to feel because somebody's talking about us in some way. Whether it's a good feeling or a bad feeling doesn't matter, but we just gave our power away.
So that's one of the qualifications for a good leader. You don't give the power away.
You don't give the power away. So the way
you don't give the power away, like it's always your fault.
Yeah.
Because if it's your fault, you can control it. And if it's not your fault, you can't.
Yes. So whatever people talk about you does not matter. What do you think about yourself is what matters. How do you feel about it yourself? When you go look into that mirror, do you feel comfortable being in your own skin? Do you like that face on that mirror? Do you like the way you talk to people? Do you like the way you treat people? Do you like all the connections you have in this world or the relationships you have? Are you happy with everything? So, like I said, first define your success, set up those milestones, and then be answerable to yourself, which will determine what your real success is, not by what people think about you. Because what people think about you is totally irrelevant. What people think about you is none of your business.
How do you think people get to that point where they care more what other people think about them than what they think about themselves?
Social media.
You think so?
I think so. They just see all these perfect people on social media and they're like, oh, I want to be like that person. So then they want to put their perfect self out on social media so people can kind of relate both of them.
I really feel it goes down way deeper than that. I think when we are born as a child and we start walking And our parents are like, oh my God, look, she's walking. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome. We get that appreciation. And then I want to walk. From walking, I want to run. And then, oh my gosh, she's running. Oh my God, okay, let's say, okay, now she's playing volleyball. We get all that appreciation. What we don't understand is that our mind actually gets attuned to that appreciation. And we start developing that liking of external appreciation and gratification from outside rather than getting that fulfilled from inside, rather than feeling I can walk now, I can talk.
When you're like 9 months old, though, you don't have that.
No, not when you're 9, but as you start growing up, you start developing those emotions. And yes, up to the age of 7, you don't have full panel of emotions. Only after that, you start developing more and more and more emotions. But the key is that as a parent, it's our job to help our children see that they don't need that external validation or external gratification, because we as adults know that. And that is missing in our society.
So it's the parents that are kind of at fault for people looking for...
And it's not that I would say they are at fault. It's just because that's what they were given to. They don't know any better.
But then it is your fault if you want to be a good leader.
If you want to be a good leader, then you want to change things. And instead of I don't necessarily call things as being fault or mistakes, because I think when you are bringing any change, the old patterns have to crumble. That doesn't mean necessarily that they are wrong or they were wrong. They were working for a very long time. They just don't work anymore. So they need to crumble, When you live in an old house and you remodel your house, it's not like that house was a crap. It's just that now you have different needs and it has to change. So those mistakes or faults or whatever we may call them are really opportunities to change the system, to change the things around so they can work for us better. And back then they were working, when we were more reptilian brain type, when we were hunting and we were doing those things, we needed that kind of external validation. Now it has changed. That external validation has grown so much that that's all that's left. Look at social media. These teenager kids commit suicide by looking at social media posts. It's crazy. The mental health issue is outgrowing. It's crazy how much mental health is being discussed, and we have so many challenges with not just our youth but even adults. Why so? Because that external gratification has taken on so much that we have forgotten that what's really needed is to go within. That inspiration and that excitement needs to come from within rather than from outside, that somebody's telling me something or somebody feels a certain way for me. I want to do this because, what is after that because really matters most. And I feel that that's where we as, the adults of 21st century, and with so much technology coming in, the AI, we need to work with our children to give them that satisfaction. Because it all comes from a place of insecurity. We have that insecurity and we give that to our children. That, oh no, you got to do this. Oh my God, you didn't get an A grade. Well, let that child feel what it feels like getting 100% rather than being a topper in the class. Maybe let's just him or her be the best version of themselves. Can you do better than this? I know you got 85, but can you do better? What do you think went wrong? So the conversations, I'm not saying that we are at fault as parents. What I mean is that our conversations need to change a little bit. Rather than honing on to their achievements, we need to hone on to the process of how they get to those achievements. Which is a whole different kind of a discussion.
Pretty much all of this kind of just ties into culture and how you're brought up. Because we were talking about earlier that Indians and Hispanics and Mexicans, they have a very similar culture. You're brought up knowing how to work hard, but you're not really taught any of the emotional intelligence that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that can kind of come to bite you in the ass in the future, I guess you can say.
It does. It's very sad. I mean, that's how it happened for me. I had never learned about my emotions. I didn't know why I would get angry and why I would get sad and why I would get frustrated. I didn't know anything about who I am really or who I was back then. And only when my life started crumbling, I started realizing, oh my God, why do I feel a certain way? And then when I feel a certain way, I have an outburst or I'll say something or I'll do something. And that would just have a whole different impact. I gotta figure this out. But rather than waiting for this long, we need to start working with our children now, especially with the technology they have in their hands. They are born, they start sitting and they have iPhones in their hands. They have iPads they're hooked onto. And they have no knowledge of the capabilities they have as a human being. So being able to work with our children and with ourselves to understand what our emotions are telling us, what our feelings are telling us, why we are going after a certain goal or a certain success, or why we feel as a failure in certain aspect of our life. It's all related to our feelings. How do we feel inside? And as much as we have ignored it for centuries, it's about time we pay attention to that, because you know what? That is really what's driving our future potential. That is what's driving us from the get-go, our feelings.
If you don't learn to control like your emotions, eventually you're gonna have like an outburst and you're just gonna blow up.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a lot worse down the line instead of just trying to deal with them now.
Absolutely. And it's not just even about learning about or controlling about your emotions, but more so about learning, unpacking them and understanding. You know, if I feel angry, do you know what is really a hidden... Okay, let's take an example. You know, and if you don't have a real one, we can make a hypothetical one. But when do you feel angry? Give me one example when you feel angry.
I feel angry when I'm frustrated. And I take it, I'm kind of crazy. I feel angry when I'm frustrated.
Kinda.
And I'm frustrated because I don't know it. And I don't know it because I like to say I'm dumb. Like, I need to learn it. So I get more angry when I don't know something.
And what is behind that? Like, why do you feel frustrated because you don't know it?
Because I want to know. And it would simplify it easier if I did know it. So I'm just like, so the only way to do this was like, I just get pissed off at myself. I'm like, well, just learn it. Like,
So let's go a layer deeper.
Okay.
You say you get frustrated because you know that when you learn it, it'll get better. And why would that be the case? Why do you think that would happen? Or what would that give you?
Knowledge. I think knowledge is power.
Okay, that would give you knowledge. And what would knowledge give you?
Power.
Power.
Because if you're in power of that, then you're in power of your future, empowered in your destiny.
It makes you feel empowered.
Yes.
And what does that feel like?
Like I'm in control.
Bingo, you hit the jackpot. So you see, anger is really not anger. It's really all about control.
It's lack of control. Yeah.
It's lack of control. So you see, we start with one emotion, but you see where it lands you, what is hidden inside. And this is just a very simple, I mean, we could go even layers deeper of why do you want to be in control, or what is it that makes you feel in control, you know. But if you just stop right here, you can see the anger has completely changed, transformed into some other information for you, that you just want to be in control of your own life, or you want to be in control of what you do, how you do, maybe in your industry or whatever that may be. But that's what's missing. We misinterpret our emotions so bad. We think, oh, we are angry. And, you know, like if your son walks by or your daughter walks by and she's like, oh, dad is angry. And little do they know, or do you know, until you spend time sitting with yourself answering those questions, that I really want to do this because I want to feel empowered. It's really not about anger. It's really about empowerment. And now when you know that you want to feel empowered, now that anger emotion that you have, you will leverage that chemical in your body at a different level. And that is now going to propel you more to do better things and to get that knowledge rather than just being angry. Because anger itself doesn't give you anything. It's a fruitless emotion, but there is an information behind that emotion. If you can crack that emotion of why you feel that way, and there are layers behind it, trust me. And as you go deeper and deeper and deeper and you unravel what is that thing that you're really looking for, that then becomes your powerhouse. And you can use that as a powerhouse to go achieve whatever you want to achieve.
How tough is it for business owners, though, to sit there like it's good. I appreciate like the little thing we went down, but like how tough is it for business owners to sit down and give themselves a little time to kind of go through it?
It's not difficult at all. It's just being in a habit of doing it. And that's just rewiring your brain, which is what these neuroscience tools and techniques help you do. They just give you that process of how to, and it doesn't take too long. It's not like 30 minutes or 1 hour of meditation you have to do every morning. I mean, you should meditate or you should do mindful exercises, but we all should do that. But that being said, some days we just can't. So how do I always have that mindset? Well, there is a way where you can just sit down and give yourself that time because you have to just work on rewiring your brain rather than jumping into concluding that, oh my God, I'm feeling this way, taking a step back and helping your brain unpack. What is it that I'm really wanting out of this? Because when you start unpacking, that's when it becomes more clarity, and then your path is much more shorter. You don't have to go through those series of emotions to figure out, okay, this is where I want to go. Have you noticed sometimes, like sometimes I'm feeling super frustrated. I'll give you an example of myself. And I'll feel like I wouldn't understand what's going on. And my husband has a whole lot day of, crazy, busy schedule, whatever. He comes home and I'm just, I couldn't make dinner or I couldn't. And he just asked me a simple question. What's for dinner? And I just ran off. Oh my God, I didn't make dinner. Like, I didn't know you're going to be home this early or whatever, I didn't have time or whatever. And I'll all of a sudden start feeling guilty, that I didn't make dinner for him. But, and then of course we have a completely off evening for both of us, right? Now, but that sentence had nothing to do with the guilt I was feeling, because that guilt didn't come because I didn't do anything. That guilt actually had piled up because of something that happened during my day, right? But who gives that much time to understand? Nobody. We don't slow down to give us that time. And that's what we teach in our work. How to slow down your brain waves, not just yourself. It's not slowing down you where you are sitting still. It's really helping you slow down your brain waves to unravel and unpack of what is hidden behind. You don't have to know the before story and all of that. You don't have to crack up all of that. What you really have to understand, what's driving me? Which emotion is driving me? And do I want to be in this position? Or do I want to change? And if I want to change, how am I going to bring that change in me quickly? And then next time, you'll be better at it. And the third time, you'll be even better. And fourth time, eventually, you'll get used to it. There's a grid. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's called unconscious and unconscious conscious grid. Like, and what it really talks about, when you start developing a new habit, you have to, first of all, you don't know what you don't know. But then you learn something. When you learn it, you know that you don't know this, right? Like neuroscience-based concepts or whatever that may be for you. It's like, I am not a big digital marketer. I don't know anything about it, but I know that I don't know anything about it. And then the third stage is that I try to learn that consciously. So now I know that I know. And then the fourth stage is I don't know that I already know it. It's so unconscious in my system that I already know it. And by default, I'm doing it. Have you had a situation where you'd be talking about something and some information will just come out of you and you would be like, wait a minute, where did that come from? I didn't even know that. Well, guess what? Your brain had captured at some point in your life that information, and you were able to articulate it, but you don't know how, because you're so unconsciously wired in it.
Yeah, you start wiring. I think if you can brainwash yourself to have bad habits, you can brainwash yourself to have good habits. I heard a quote the other day. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits.
Absolutely beautiful
That's a good
quote.
one.
Yes, really beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
So knowing what you know now, and let's say we could go back in time, what would you tell a younger
I would tell younger Gurpreet that there is nothing to be so sad about, because all that you feel is hurting you is your perception of reality. It may not be the true case. All the hurt that you feel is just a perception of reality. It is not the true case. And I would also tell my younger self that you are so very loved, because all we are here is really, we care. We all, by default, most of us, yes, there are people who have been through some crazy times in the world, and they just, their crime rate, is crazy, or they're killing, or there's bombing and whatnot. But at the end of the day, why do you think they do that? It's because they lack love. They didn't get that love and affection when they were growing up, which was needed. And to me, I would tell my younger self that you are so loved, because that's what this whole universe, this whole world is made up of. It's all around us. We just block that from us because of our mental, analytical brain, because we start analyzing everything. We start putting filters on everything, So I would definitely give myself that grace. Thank you for that question.
Yeah. If people want to reach out and know a little bit more about you, where can they do that? Where's the best place to send them?
Yeah, so my website, cosmobeing.com, or, gurpreetjuneja.com is really more of my corporate AI-based data science world stuff, but cosmobeing.com is my website. Cosmobeing is the name of my business. I am on Instagram and Facebook. And I have a lot of articles published on leadership under Brains Magazine. I'm an executive contributor over there. Choice Magazine has my articles. So yeah, they can find me there.
Your books on
and
Amazon?
I have books on Amazon. A bestseller on Amazon, and I am sure they can find me on YouTube as well. There are a lot of other podcasts, and
and we'll put all your links down in the description so people can go there and click them and hopefully reach out to you.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.